Coming to you live from atop Mount Everest in historic Abbeville, South Carolina, is the Rambling with Rodney show. That's Roddy, R-O-D-D-Y. Whatever. Here's the show.
Hey folks, a lot of you have been complaining that I've been fiddling around too much, so I thought to make you happy I've learned to play the fiddle real well. Actually, today's show, if you haven't guessed it by now, we'll be talking with some gentlemen in Abbeville who actually make these fiddles and mandolins. So it's a show I think you're going to enjoy. We'll be talking with Mr. J.D. Ellis, son Rayford, and I have a clue to give you. The last clue in the Mystery Who Am I contest, last one folks, for 1 month free cable. You got to stop and smell the roses. Well, we're here with Mr. J.D. Ellis and son Rayford, and as you notice looking around us, you see a bunch of fiddles. Mr. Ellis, you played a fiddle, is that right?
I used to. I don't play none of them which
All right, I'm not going to ask you to demonstrate them, but how long did you play a fiddle? For how many years?
Oh, about 30 years, I guess.
Now, was this one that you played here, sir?
Yeah, that's it.
Now tell me, you were telling me earlier about the history of this one. How old a fiddle is this?
It's over 100 years old. That's my granddaddy Ellis's fiddle.
And, well, did he play in a band or something like that?
I don't know whether he played in the band or not, but he played left-handed.
Or does it matter whether would you have to tune it differently if you're left-handed? Now see, I'm totally ignorant when it comes to music.
He didn't. He played over the bass strings, where most people that's left-handed would change, put the little strings on this side.
So it would be different if you were left. Normally you would change the strings around.
But he played over the bass.
Now, you told me you've never had a music lesson, right? Rayford, you've never had one?
Never have.
Well, now how do you pick up something like this? Just by watching other people or listening?
Well, I heard my daddy play all my life, yes.
Well, now, what, did your dad play in a group? Did he travel with the group?
He used to play with the band. They would win a prize at Lownville every time you get on stage near that Fiddlers Convention.
All right, now, when they had these Fiddlers Conventions, what was big prize money at that time?
It wasn't too much.
It wasn't much, was it?
It wasn't much money to be had.
Yeah. Well, did they have trophies or anything like that?
Yeah, they had trophies.
So, and like for bands, mainly fiddlers were called, what, did they play mainly, what, square dances? What was?
Well, they just play on stage, you know, each band would get up and play, and they would pick the winners. They'd have judges that would pick the winners.
Well, did you do the same thing when you played some?
I never did play on stage.
Never played on the stage? Well, now, you say this one is what, over 100 years old?
Yeah.
Now, you and Rayford were laughing at me. I thought something had been dropped inside. What is inside of this? Listen to this. What is making this noise?
Snake rattlers.
Snake rattle?
Yeah, the rattler, snake rattle.
So before you can finish one of these fiddles, you have to find snake rattles to put in?
No, not necessary.
Well, I'll tell you, if it depended on me to put snake rattles in a fiddle, don't count on me for making many fiddles, I'll tell you right now. What was the bowl made of? I was looking at this. What is?
That's cherry, I believe, what they make the bowls out of.
And what is this stuff?
That's horsehair.
Horsehair?
Call it horsehair. I don't know what it is. It looks about the same thing.
Now, I was talking with Rayford. I know on some of the shows I've watched when they're really fiddling that a lot of these strings will break, but they keep on going.
Yeah.
What, does it have to break all the way through before it?
You mean these?
Yes.
Well, sometimes one will break maybe. They don't break often.
They don't? Well, now, what made you decide, all right, your dad played, your granddad played, what made you decide to make them?
Well, I retired and I just always believed that I could make a fiddle. And I ordered a kit and I never did get it. So I just draw the pattern by this one.
So the fiddles that we see around the table, you use this old fiddle as a pattern?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Rayford, when did you get interested in this?
Well, shortly after Daddy started making these fiddles.
He's the only one that's
I got
It
interested.
takes an ounce of that.
So the two of you kind of jointly started working at this?
That's right, join
I
together
made
now.
two
Either one
before
of us
he
can-
started. I made this one and that nowhere before.
So you made these two before Rayford joined in, huh?
Yeah.
Well, now tell me the process. What you were telling me the first thing you do is you have to find the right type of wood.
That's right.
What type of wood are we looking for now?
Well, the sides and the bottom is maple.
Okay, so now this is one of the first ones you made, is that
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's maple except the top.
All right, so this part would be maple,
That's right,
and what would the top part be?
pine.
Pine, and what is the black part? What is it made of?
I believe that's maple. I'm making
Maple?
that.
It's maple.
Uh-huh.
It's maple on that one.
Okay,
Fine.
and what is the toughest part? Okay, you got your pattern cut now. Talk me through it. What happens, Rayford, from this point on?
After you cut your pattern, the toughest part about making a violin is when you cut the sides. You got to cut the sides.
You draw this out and then you start
And,
sanding with a drill and a sand on.
Mhm. So you got these sides. Now this is what you were telling me about earlier.
You have to get your
Boil
sides
that.
thin and boil them in water. And then we got a mold that we made that we put the wood in the mold. You got about 10 minutes to get it in the mold completely. Or you will have to.
So you
re-boil it.
actually, this strip of wood here, you have to boil.
It's been
Boil
boiled.
it, make it soft.
Make it soft.
How do you, is it not hot when you work with it?
It's hot, but
So you work with it very quickly, is that right?
you got about 10 minutes before you. You got about 10 minutes before you, and it'll harden back up on you. You have to take it out.
Well, if you ever had wood that would crack during this boiling process and you have to start all over?
Yeah, we've had some.
We've had
break.
some crack, break. It's just a chance you take.
All right, when you're making this, what is the easiest thing to go wrong so that you have to do that part over again? What was the hardest thing for you to learn when you were making these things?
These sides on.
The sides, that's the toughest part there.
That'd be the hardest part of it, I guess.
Now I notice some of these that are finished, you have different grains of wood that you look for, but all of them you use the same pattern for your fiddles, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting.
Spruce pine is what the tops is supposed to be made out of.
And what diameter is most of this wood that you're working with?
It's about 9 inches. It's 10-inch board, but you know, after planing it.
All right, like when you go out looking for this wood, what size woods or pieces of board do you look
Call
for?
for 10-inch.
10-inch?
Uh-huh.
Or did you have to buy some special tools to make these with?
These two hands.
That's it? I mean, there were no special...
No, we got drum sanders, which goes on a low drill. It's
Mhm.
low drum sanders. We use regular sanding disc, and we use your hand. Sand a lot with your hand.
Now this one, instead of making a thing around there, I put a cat head on it.
You've got a cat head on this one. All right, let's look at that. So you can put whatever design on this part
Yeah,
here.
wolf head or most anything you want to.
And you've completed, how many of you guys completed so far?
We got 5 fiddles, and we completed 6 fiddles and 3 mandolins. One mandolin we give to my daddy's brother,
Okay.
and we gave 1 fiddle to one of my brothers, Mac.
Looking now at the back of the one that was Mr. Ellis's granddad here. This is the fiddle. I hear the rattlesnake rattle in there, so we're all right there. Now, when you guys are learning to play it and putting it together, what determines the tone? You were telling me that a lot of times you have to go back and make adjustments. What adjustments are you going to have to make on these finished products here?
Well, have to adjust the strings to the fingerboard.
All right, this is the
And-
fingerboard here,
Yeah,
right?
And the bridge, you may have to cut it down somewhere, it would get down where you can thread it.
All right, so those are the adjustments. All right,
It's
right.
also got a soundpost in. We put a soundpost in. And
In
it-
where?
And sent up
It's
under
on
there.
that side there, on
It's
the
a-
right side always.
It's a long stick that has got pressure where we stand it up. So it put pressure on the bottom and top of the fiddle. And that's how you get a lot of your sound. You can move that sound post around and get different sounds also.
Well, now, how would you move that around, though, Rayford? I mean, once you finish this, now it has a sign. What
It's
is
got a
it?
string on
We
it.
tie a
where
string
you
around
Pull it up.
and we can take it down and move that sound post around and pull the string back up and get
Oh.
it tight.
And so periodically you may have to adjust it that way. Is that correct?
Well, that's if you want to change the sound on it.
It'll make it deeper.
It'll make it deeper or lighter.
And then the other adjustments, you were telling me you may have to take this on and off several
I
times.
have to trim this down some.
You might have to trim it down to get the right length between the fingerboard and the strings.
Now, is this the essential difference here, that this is the fingerboard? Is this important, the distance you have here?
Yeah, that's very important. That's 10.5 inches. They have to be 10.5 inches. Well, that's what this one is. And that's what we've been making all ours, 10.5 inches long.
So the ones you've made, you've assumed that whoever made this one knew what they were doing, and so that's the only pattern you guys have had. Is that right?
That's right. And also we got another fiddle that was manufactured by a company. It's 10.5 inches long also.
So you assumed if both were 10.5, you went with that. Is that right?
That's what we went with.
All right, now let me just show these folks what an unfinished one looks like here. This is one that, now how much time have you guys spent on this one, say?
We spent about 6 months a piece on each one of them.
6 months?
So far.
And how much more time do you have left before you can call this finished?
About 1 more month. We'll have it right in about 1 more month. So it'd take about 7 months.
We could finish them in a day if we just take time to do it.
You just hadn't got time.
But you have to, and everything, most of the sanding and all you do by hand, I would
You have to do
assume.
it by
I
hand.
rubbed all the skin off my fingers sanding them too.
But now how many of these do you want to make? How many do you got, when you say, okay, we've made enough?
Well, about done run out of material.
So you make it till you run out of material, huh?
Well, I may have to go back to Greenville and get some more if I make any more.
And you've never sold a one?
Haven't sold
All
one.
of this has been kept within the family, is that right?
That's
Mike
right,
got
so far.
one, Rafe and made him one.
I've had people want to buy them, but I hadn't gave them no kind of word yet or not. I'll probably sell some later on.
Yeah. Now, Rayford, you play the guitar and the mandolin some, right?
Yeah, a little bit, that's right.
Now, do you play anything other than the fiddle?
I used to play most anything, guitar, mandolin.
Anything that had a string?
Mm-hmm.
And you played it by ear?
Yeah.
Didn't that hurt your ear? I'm teasing.
No.
I just thought I'd work that one in there.
I had a music teacher one time when I was a kid at Kellum Fall, a fellow Bagwell. He was a good music teacher. My brother, oldest brother, he played with White Leg and String Band. I went with him a time or two, listening to him. And he found out I could play a fiddle a little bit, He tried his